Okay, what the fuck is this? Trump supporter walks away from CNN interview when pressed about Musk's actions. I love the suffering of people who inflict suffering on others. I love Schadenfreude. What's going on? Squeeze! Squeeze!
You know somebody smarter?
Than Elon Musk?
That's right.
You can be smart and immoral. You can be smart and make bad decisions.
You are 100% right about that. There's no doubt about that. It does not give me pause. I'm 100% Team Musk.
Josh Evan Kirkland is one of the people we spoke to at a hog show in Nahunta, Georgia. We first came to Brantley County right before the election because it was the most pro-Trump county in a swing state in 2020. People had had a strong emotional connection to President.
This is like going to be unambiguously classist of me, but I do like that when you go to like the most blue areas of the country, industry, economic development, things to do, sights to see, and then every time you go to the most red county in a state or anywhere, it's like this is a shithole, everyone wants to leave. You know, no one likes it here. It's horrible.
And they thought Trump was for them instead of
the
elites.
Yeah, it looks great.
So we wanted to see what they made of billionaire Elon Musk.
There's a lot of ifs, ands, and buts about Musk, and he's a brilliant man himself. I think a lot of people are scared that the two of them have teamed up.
Last time we were here, Kathy Hendricks sold Trump merch in a corner of her boutique.
I sold out of everything. Yeah. I sold out of all my Trump stuff. I have sold.
Well, yeah, that's literally like all you guys have. Like that's like literally your whole. You drive through any rural area, it's like every house has the Trump signs piled up outside because it's your whole identity. You're completely captured by the cult. You know.
He's home.
Why do people like that?
Trump Daddy's home, $22, made in, I assume, Bangladesh. Phenomenal.
Calling Trump daddy.
There is a security in daddy.
Ugh. Well, you know, that is the correct answer in the sense like that's the honest, like that is true for them. I didn't expect her to say it that earnestly. This is how y'all bottom sound half the time. Yeah, when you take the average bottom in VGG and make them an old Southern woman. All of a sudden, now you see how it sounds.
Mama is the one that runs everything. Mama's the one that does everything, but there is a security in daddy.
What? Wait, what? What's kind of gender role? Mom does everything? What, so dad left? I don't understand I don't know what your gender roles mean, lady. I'm sorry.
When daddy wraps his arms around you, you feel like the whole world is just, you're safe.
Remember, it's all psychosexual. It's all psychosexual, okay? It's the fascism, all of this. So would Disco Elysium, like the bedrock, the Ura-fascist impulse is like being weird about women?
And everything's going to be okay.
And that's the way they mean it?
And that's the way they mean it.
Because, you know, on the internet at least, sometimes it has like a sexual meaning.
Oh, Lord.
Oh yeah, lady. There was nothing psychosexual about your description. Dude, the lack of self-awareness from some of these people. They're laying out like this Freudian tapestry, and then you're like, I don't know, man, that sounds kind of like weird. And they're like, no, we mean it in like a heteronormative way.
So what do you think of the job he's done so far?
It's like Christmas morning every single day.
Hendricks introduced us to Candace Taylor, who declared she's running for Congress that very day on Steve Bannon's War Room podcast.
That I wanted to announce with you.
So she's a Nazi.
You are loyal to President Trump. God anoints people. He's anointed President Trump. So if Elon Musk wants to cut trillions of dollars out of this budget, and if my family has to tighten our belt and not go on vacation because of it, I'm down with that.
So you welcome some personal financial hardship if you think in the long run it will help.
Yeah, I've already experienced it.
In my experience, by the way, this is simply not true. Like this is a lie. It's fake. The hardship she's describing was the brief bump in inflation under Biden that returned back to normal by the end of his term. She's not talking about like real sacrifice. It's LARP.
Under Biden, with inflation, I mean, were you happy to pay the higher prices, or did you think that
she's crazy? This is the lady who was waging a war against the satanic Stonehenge monument thing. The one where it's like, for the future, have fewer people, like lower the population or whatever. This is that woman? Okay, so she's actually mentally ill. This goes beyond just grift. She's actually crazy.
It's a failing of his presidency.
It was a tremendous failing.
All right, how long are you willing to wait for the economic changes you're hoping to see, for the prices to come down?
Oh, I'm good if President Trump wants to run in 2028.
In 2022, Taylor ran in the Republican primary for governor with a Jesus Guns Baby slogan and lost.
But why run for Congress if some billionaire can just undo whatever budget you passed, whatever laws you passed.
Oh, he's not undoing everything.
Like literally look at her face. Like this, sometimes you have to drop the analysis. Sometimes it's just like, we are actually just insane. Like, you should be in an asylum. I don't think you should be allowed to run for governor. I think that there should have been some kind of brain scan or something. I don't really know. I just don't want you. Phrenology is quackery until it's not. Everyone's a phrenology doubter until they see a mother who really spells it out with their facial structure. And then you're like, okay, all right.
He's dealing with stuff that's frivolous.
Most people we spoke to were enthusiastic about Musk. We did meet 3 people who had some concerns about the firing of federal workers, but the only one who wanted to say so on camera was Corbett Wilson, one of the rare Trump skeptics we found last time we visited.
100
Prices
years
of
old.
groceries, egg prices haven't gone down since Trump took office.
Give him a little bit of time. Will you come back in a year or 2 years? Let's look at the halfway point, because we all know everything takes time.
Well, he promised it on the first day.
Yep.
He promises to
And
take
anybody
steps.
that believed that's crazy.
He also said that it would probably be a little more painful to start with, but it would get better. We got to give
Everybody's
him.
waiting on that.
Well,
You talking
I
about contractors. Elon's a contractor too. Who looks into him?
there needs to be somebody.
Nobody questions his bills.
Do you trust Elon Musk? He's a
Absolutely.
government contractor. He's got business interests, whether in defense, internet, that kind of thing. He's also admitted to drug use. He smoked pot on the Joe Rogan show. Do you trust him as like a stable, rational, and reasonable person to be doing this job?
Yes.
Hey, he's a Republican. You ain't gonna talk him out of that.
There's potheads all over this country. Y'all sitting here trying to bash
I
one
ain't
man for what,
bashing none.
99% of this country, Republican or Democrat. Corbett, this whole dadgum town smokes pot.
I can't understand you, man. I'm really sorry. I'm gonna be classist again. You just need to be more coastal. Dagnabbit. I'm sorry. You need to be in a higher educational bracket. I can understand everything he's saying. Yeah, and you know what? I'm a coastal. I don't give a shit. I'm sorry. Listen, okay? Skill issue? Yeah, maybe it is a skill issue. Sorry, my skill points are invested in a different tree, like not being and looking like this, okay? Jesus Christ. Uncultured? I'm gonna go ahead and be even more classist. This isn't culture. There was a real, authentic, like Appalachian, Southern, Bible Belt. Like I'm naming different cultures, not like all in one. Redneck, such and such, culture. These things did exist. They have been entirely supplanted by a deliberate Republican-led effort to turn all of these people into cultists. It's like how country music used to be something, and now country music is just like here's like the next industry plant who will talk about sponsored trucks or whatever the Keith Urban mother. Yeah. It's like the culture has been destroyed. Okay.
You're part of the Democrat Party in my book.
The conversation devolved quickly.
Triggered.
We had not anticipated the emotional connection Minnie already felt with Musk.
Pot smoking. This
He
is
did
over
it on
with.
TV.
He sat on TV and smoked pot.
Yes, do you
Well,
want me to
I
pull up
don't
the
care.
video?
I'm saying it don't matter.
Let me pull up
But
the
that
video
makes him
for you.
unqualified to do it.
I like the belt and the suspenders, by the way. It's a really nice touch.
Well, I'm just saying, does it?
Yeah, I mean,
Does the
she's
question
coming in
is-
here with ignorant arguments. She
Does
ain't
it-
talking
Triggered.
Does
facts.
it raise any questions about his
I can prove
judgment?
you a Democrat by the level
Snowflake.
of ignorance that you portray.
Let's
We
just
listen
show
to that
it.
all the time. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, please drain the swamp. While you there, get the job done.
Get her
Please.
done.
They'll probably go down the drain with it.
Triggered snowflakes. These people are, hey, y'all, eat here. These people are not like us.
While DOGE touts its cuts to the federal government, the people being cut are speaking out, especially veterans, because yes, those cuts are disproportionately affecting vets.
Good.
Federal data shows last year vets made up 28% of the federal.
Don't worry, when they cut Medicare, that guy will have 100% of a cardiac arrest and die because the last hospital in town was shut down. This is gonna hurt you. I bet you anything that fat mother rich. I don't know why. Actually, I do know why. Beard was groomed real close. I don't know. I bet that guy was rich. Now he lives in a trailer park. Let's be real. Nope. I don't believe that. Those previously cultured areas of the United States have been raped in like a neo-Confederate, not race neutral, but certainly more broad manner over the past century or so, you know? He does not have the rich Southern accent. What do you, rich people don't have different accents than poor people. What do you mean? It's not, you mean like a genteel slave owner from like 200 years ago? What are you referring to? It's a different thing. Yes, they do. Okay, I'm arguing with other coastal people whose impression of a rich Southern man is like Doug Dimmadome from Fairly Odd Parents. I'm not getting into this.
Federal workforce. Vets like James Diaz. James is an Army veteran who served during the first Gulf War. He voted for President Trump 3 times. He was fired last month from his job as a fuel compliance officer with the IRS at one of their field offices in Illinois. His termination letter implied that his job performance was a factor, but Diaz disputes this claim, saying all his performance reviews were positive. Diaz will be attending Trump's speech before Congress tomorrow night as a guest of his congressman, Illinois Democratic Representative Eric Sorensen. And he joins us now. Mr. Diaz, thank you for joining us today, James. You say you were treated like garbage. Walk us through what happened to you last month.
On the 20th of February, I received a phone call from my supervisor and then a email shortly thereafter about how I was going to be terminated. And it basically cited my performance issues. But you provided us with a performance review, and it said you were a good worker with a good knowledge of tax law. So why would they cite that as an issue? I think it was just basically a cookie cutter.
That is true.
Email to send out. I don't think they thought it through very well at all. And I think I'm a perfect example of why they didn't think it through. How did that make you feel when you realized that? It didn't make me feel very good. I mean, I put myself in harm's way, you know, for the country. I took a pretty good pay cut to come to work for the government. And next thing you know, 8 months later, I was basically feel like I'm not good enough to, you know, now I know better than that, but that's just
me when I am a federal worker and my income comes from the federal government and I vote 3 times for the guy who says we need to cut federal spending to federal workers and replace it with privatized workers. How could they do this? That was my impression of this guy. Sorry, I didn't make my face look all fishy.
How it seems to feel.
I mean, it is very disruptive. It's hurtful. It's probably a shock to the system as well. I mean, you voted for President Trump not once, not twice, but 3 times. Did you anticipate that this might happen or regret your vote at all?
No. Am I stupid, or is this the same dude that stormed off in the previous clip? You are stupid and actually face blind. So you might want to get that checked or diagnosed because you might be able to apply for like disability.
I don't necessarily regret my vote.
Or very racist to white people.
Both sides were. I think we could have had better choices on both sides. But for me, with what's going on here, my performance reviews all meets or exceeds. My bosses were very happy with me finding work to do, even if they didn't have something for me immediately. And with my particular job, between education, training, and compliance checks, we were able to recover far more revenue than the cost of keeping me employed.
And?
So when you think about the premise of DOGE and that it's trying to root out fraud and wasteful spending, do you think that this approach will get to that with your particular job or your agency?
Well, I think with all large agencies, there's going to be some people who underperform, and I believe there is some fraud, waste, and abuse. But I don't think that they're doing a very good job of finding out exactly what needs to be cut.
They're so stupid and selfish, man. Zero awareness or class consciousness. It makes me so mad every time that their only turnaround, if they even have a turnaround, is when they personally are inconvenienced. Just dead sold people. They're de-sold. They don't have, they don't think about anything. It's the economic equivalent of those guys who don't understand that rape is bad unless you explain it like it's their daughter, you know? Like a guy is like, yeah, so there was a girl who was drunk at a party and I was like, you know, I leaned on the wall next to her and I went up to her and I was like, hey, do you want to fuck? And she was like, no, but then I kind of pressured her into it and she said, yeah, but she said yes in the end. And then you're like, that's bad. And he's like, well, what do you mean? She said yes. And you're like, okay, imagine that was your daughter and it was a different guy. And then he's like, oh, and it's like, fuck you, you don't get it at all. You don't understand how what you did was wrong. You just don't like the idea of your imaginary daughter getting like macked up on in any context. But you don't understand like the underlying problem. You just don't like you haven't learned anything.
They're just taking like the chainsaw to it instead of doing some critical thinking and doing some investigations to see exactly what is good and what is bad. Well, just letting it all go instead.
Will this impact?
How do we reach them rhetorically? I think we should mostly like laugh at them and be really, really, really mean to them, mostly.
How you vote in the midterms?
We'll have to see what's going on. Yeah, it's going to impact how I vote in the midterms, yes.
In what way?
Well, I'm going to see exactly who's going to try to help fight for, you know, for the workers, for veterans.
Jesus Christ!
I want the best for this country, no matter who's in charge.
This is like a classic example of a person whose real motivating real animus is like race or something. Because there is no way this guy's waking up and he's like, I will now determine who I will vote for based on veterans' benefits, and then choosing who he's choosing. You know, it is 100. Like, this guy's voting straight ticket Republican, and it's for some other thing. You know,
you're going to be attending Trump's speech tomorrow night, I understand, with your congressman. What are you looking to hear from the president?
I'm just looking to see what his plan is going forward, how we can all make this a better country
for everybody who's living in it. Forward.
I really don't know what to expect, or even if it's going to do. I'm just really unsure what to expect. I've never been to one, and frankly, I'm not expecting much results on my end. I mean, for me in particular, but I'm honored that Congressman Sorsman invited me to go, and I'm gonna be happy to be there.
You've served our country. You are a veteran. What's next for you now that you've lost this job?
Well, I have a pretty good resume, but right now it's,
even if you're right.
You know, I got my college education after I was 50. I worked in factory leadership, you know, in a few places. But right now, I think I'm just going to go back to probably having to drive a truck for a little while. There's nothing wrong with that. People make good money. I helped put my wife through college doing it. So I'm probably going to go back to that for a while and try to see what happens.
Mr. James Diaz, thank you for joining tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you, ma'am. You have a great...
I saw a post saying the Dems will win in 2028 and do Jim Crow, but for white people. They're not that based. I can't stand this. There's so much of it, and I can't.
A clear strategy against Donald Trump. They don't need to craft stories about his administration. They plan to amplify the real world stories, feeling the effects. To that end, my next guest is one of the Democratic members of Congress who will be attending the president's speech. Alongside him, specifically because she's talking about veterans like yourself when she says they're not fit to have a job at this moment or not willing to come to work. Does that apply to you or any of the other veterans who you work with?
No, it doesn't. I was in the office all the time. I oversaw all the IRS facilities in Connecticut, so it was kind of, can't really do that job from home. I was all over the New England region, going into these offices, making sure they were running good so that we could have our taxpayer assistance.
He really does look like a vampire.
American people rely on to get taxes done. So it's sad to hear, but I'm still here to get veterans their job back, and that's going to be my goal while I'm down here.
Me, when I'm an IRS agent and I vote for the guy who says he's going to cut the IRS and has dodged taxes before and is clearly hostile to the concept of wealthy people paying their fair share to society. Sorry, I didn't make my face look vampire-y. I can't, these people, man. These CNN interviews feel like they're laying the groundwork that, for sure, if we're bipartisan, we'll get these guys. Well, if anything, it should do the opposite, because the story that we're seeing time and time again is that Trump's behavior and even his explicit messaging had nothing to do with reaching those people. Like, these are people who are upset that Trump did the thing that he's been talking about doing for nearly a decade now. So, if anything, it's the opposite message. It's not about policy. It's about narrative, and it's about the overwhelming power of the conservative media apparatus. The fact that at all times they're being blanketed with it, you know? If you were interviewing that guy, what would you want to ask him? If I were interviewing any of these people, I would be like openly hostile to them. I would say, how can you be upset when he's doing the thing that he said he was going to do? All of this was laid out beforehand. It was extremely clear. He's actually following his word better than he did in his first term. This isn't even a matter of being based. It's not even a matter of being vindictive or deriving pleasure from their upsettedness, which I would. That's the right question. That is the correct question. It's not just about being vindictive. That's literally what we need to know, isn't it? Why did you vote for the person was stating they would do the thing that would hurt you. I just don't want this to be like mistaken as like edge posting or whatever. It's not. Like that's a very, very, very important. Anyway, I do appreciate this. The reason why we just saw that little clip there where you had the congressman alongside that former IRS worker, Democrats are inviting fired workers and veterans to Trump's joint address. So they're looking to you know, fill up the audience with people who have been fired by Doge. So that's smart. That's that's respectable. That's smart. I like that. But man, that's actually smart. They got to have a good idea now and again, right? First time they have a brain. What's the chance of another outburst from a vet? Probably not. Not likely. Federal workers in deep red states concerned about the layoffs. I hate them. 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 Me when they do the thing they say they're gonna do. I gotta buffer this a little bit, man. I hate them. I hate them. It's gotta preserve the rhetoric.